let's talk a little bit about these joint practices. I'm not there for them, so I can't tell you firsthand how the Niners looked. There were a lot of turnovers today. Brock threw one interception in the team portion, according to Matt Mayoko. I was looking at that he threw a couple more in the 7-on-7 drills. And then overall, it sounds like Lance and Darnold also threw an interception in the 7-on-7 drills. Um, what do you make of what's going on in Vegas? I mean, you're following it on social media as well. You're seeing some of the numbers. The numbers that I got from Jack Hammer were Brock Purdy 16 of 28, a touchdown run, and two interceptions. And I guess there was maybe a third in that 7-on-7. Darnold 3 of 3 with an interception in the 7-on-7. Lance 1 of 2, and there was an interception in the 7-on-7. One, what do you make of the rep breakdown where Brock's getting all the reps and Sam and Lance are getting virtually none, and Brandon Allen is literally getting none?
I mean, I think we kind of had an idea going into this joint practice that Brock Purdy wasn't going to be playing in this preseason game. So the way that I'm kind of looking at it is they're using these two practices to really give the lion's share reps to Brock Purdy to be able to continue to work his way back and get comfortable and continue to build. And then Trey Lance and Sam Darnold, they're probably going to play a half each in the preseason game where they'll get a ton of live reps and things like that. So I think it's just kind of the way they've been balancing it. You can go back to training camp where you had Brock Purdy's take days off, which meant Trey and Sam got a lot of reps and got reps with the first team. And I feel like it's just how they've been bouncing back and forth between splitting these reps. I think obviously what's clear is Brock Purdy is the quarterback one heading into the season, and they're operating that way. So the fact that he's getting the majority of the reps in joint practice, I think it makes sense if that's going to be your quarterback one moving forward because you want him to get as many opportunities to go out there to make mistakes, get back in the groove of things, and continue to get ready for week one against Pittsburgh.
How did you think you've been to camp a bunch this summer? What did you think of Brock in relationship to what you saw from him a year ago pre elbow surgery?
I think with Brock, we're looking at it and evaluating it through a lens of this guy had a pretty severe surgery and he's coming back from a surgery on his throwing elbow. And so all of that being said, I think for me, that's how I was evaluating him. A guy who's coming back quickly, by the way. And then what I did see from him was each and every day he got better. He settled in more. He felt and looked more comfortable. And each team period that progressed, you could see the offense moving better, being more efficient. In all the move the ball periods, I definitely thought that Brock Purdy had the best move the ball periods out of any quarterback in training camp. And to me, that was a good sign. I still think, you hear it all the time. You hear the rust, and and I think that's to be expected, and that should have been expected. And I think when you're evaluating Brock Purdy in training camp, you're evaluating him as a guy who's just come off major surgery. So your evaluation will be tweaked a little bit to basically take that in. We're not like I at least for I can only speak for myself. I wasn't evaluating Brock Purdy like he should come out, hit the floor running, QB1, like off to the races. This is the next guy. It was we just got to see what Brock Purdy is. We got to set the baseline evaluation and then build upon the evaluation. And I think Brock Purdy did that. I think he started out a little slow, and each practice got incrementally better to the point where they were humming and moved the ball period. He had that one practice where he had 3 touchdowns in a row. He ran a touchdown in, and then he had a drop touchdown in the left corner to Danny Gray. Like, he showed throughout just that short period of time in practice with days off in between that he was able to improve and get better, and I don't think he's out the woods yet. I still think there is still that room for working back from injury because if you've seen and you've logged any of the other previous quarterbacks that have come before him on other teams, you've seen guys have a little bit of a ways to get back. It took Derek Carr a long time to get back. Carson Wentz never got back. You know, they're different injuries, but again, there's always a process for each individual player that goes into their process back. It's also physical, but it's also mental, and I think Brock Purdy is still in the middle of that process. So, I think by week 1, he'll be in much better shape than he was to start at training camp.
Did you see any diminished arm strength? There are people suggesting that his interceptions in Vegas the last couple of days all are attributable to a lack of arm strength, which is it's like you don't know what to believe because there's
Right.
that people know that that's kind of like the weakness of Brock Purdy, and there's
Mhm.
people that want Trey Lance to start so bad that they'll just say whatever just to kind of oh what Brock they know if Brock's real question is not who can he process because he processes better than Darnold and Lance. It's not about can he be accurate because he's more accurate than those guys. It's not about his timing because his timing's better consistently than those guys. So it has to be the arm strength. Arm strength it has to be the issue. And so a lot of the criticism today is like not only did Brock throw interceptions, it's all attributable to his lack of arm strength. I feel like I get to know a little bit about what I'm watching. I don't see a dramatic loss of arm strength or even a subtle loss of arm strength. To me, he looks very much like the guy who I remember. And when Kyle Shanahan said earlier this week, Brock's the real deal, people took that like he was boasting that he was going to be the next, MVP of the league. I think that's Kyle just pushing back on the people that might be out there who are going to say, you know what, he's not the same guy from a year ago. I felt like when he said he's the real deal, kind of that was in relation to, hey, this guy is back from this injury, he's recovered, and he's, what you saw last year was not coincidental, wasn't accidental, and it wasn't like some mirage. What you saw is what you get, and that's what this guy is. That's what I took away from the real deal. But what was your takeaway?
So I think two things can be true. I think Brock Purdy can still be working back from the surgery. He can still be fine tuning the arm and getting back in the groove of things while also not having diminished arm strength. I think both things can be true at the same time because if there's anything that we saw from training camp, one of the biggest trends was Brock Purdy was pushing the ball downfield more than any other quarterback on the field, whether it was Trey Lance, Sam Darnold, Brandon Allen. I would say Brandon Allen probably had the nicest deep ball completion out of any quarterback. That one to Willie Snead,
Right.
that was a
With
really
two
nice one.
defenders, two
Yep, down
defenders
the
right
left
there.
sideline, dropped it right in the bucket, and that's what you want to see. That's what we're hoping for. But I think again, trying to quantify what Brock Purdy's doing within the reasonable realm of expectation and evaluation. Brock was pushing the football downfield, and he was overthrowing the first throws. The first throws, whether it was Debo Samuel down the right sideline, he was overthrowing him. And then after he had a couple overthrows, it started to kind of be like he started to underthrow it a little bit. I don't know. Have you ever played beer pong, Larry?
Yes.
So I made this correlation to like Brock Purdy trying to find his deep ball accuracy like beer pong. Like you got the center cup and you're shooting it, you're hitting the back rim, you're hitting the back rim. You're like, all right, I got to adjust my location. And then you start hitting the front rim. And you start hitting the front rim. You're like, all right, I'm feeling it out, feeling it out. And then you start dropping it in. That's kind of how that looked to me. Like he was trying to get his timing down, not necessarily a diminished arm. It was just timing, trying to time it perfectly, whether it was a 50-50 ball, trying to hit a guy in stride, trying to do all those different types of things. That was my perception of it. I didn't see arm strength being an issue because I think it was on the final day that was open to fans where Debo Samuel's running down the left sideline, and Brock didn't moonball it. He just darted it for about 35 yards downfield, and it hit. It was upfield, outside shoulder, in stride. Debo just got a hand on it, wasn't able to bring it in, and I didn't feel like the arm was necessarily the issue. I felt like pinpointing the timing and accuracy is what he was trying to find.